Please welcome to the program the CEO of Epoch Times.
Thank you, Larry.
Janice,
Great
thank
to
you
be
very
on
much
your
for
show.
coming on. My goodness. So talk about from labor camp to Epoch Times. How did that happen?
Well, so I was born in the labor camp area because my parents were college graduate engineers during the Cultural Revolutions. So we were living in a very remote labor camp area.
Okay,
And
tell me what a labor camp is.
So it's a education, re-education camp. And so my parents could not do engineering work. They were doing farming work and sewing work. And so I was a child labor. I grew sugar cane to finance the school. I pick up crops dropped on the floor during harvest seasons. And then eventually I went to Hong Kong to take care of my grandfather. And then the Tiananmen Square massacre triggered my applying for colleges in the US. And I went to University of Texas at Austin. I chose Austin because it's in the capital. So I thought I have a better chance of getting a part-time jobs to finance my own education. I worked 2 to 3 part-time jobs concurrently while I study. And after graduations, I become a certified public accountant and I also work in multiple Fortune 500 companies. I held vice president roles in multiple Fortune 500 companies, and then before the board of directors at Epoch Times approached me to be the CEO.
Now we need to back up. When Americans hear that people who are educated are put into labor camps, explain what that means. Cultural Revolution, Mao comes in, he doesn't want people who are well educated because they'll influence the masses. And so people like your parents are put into a labor camp, physically transported to a labor camp.
Yeah, so let me give you some colors on that. So when my mom's water broke, she went to the hospital. There was no experienced OBGYN in the hospital because they were sent to doing farming work. That's what labor camps. And I was in a bridge position. Imagine a C-section without an experienced OBGYN. So that really planted a seed for me to give a voice to the voiceless. And in the labor camps, there were no refrigerators, no washer dryers. It was a shared toilets for many, and it was a very primitive housing. And my father operates things on the farms. He cannot apply his skill set as an engineer. My mom did sewing. She was a top engineer from the top school in the south. So we were forced in a closed, we don't have the freedoms because in China there's something called 户口, your residency. So it's not like you can move to other places. You basically are stuck. And after Cultural Revolutions, and then we were start applying to move to Hong Kong. So it took years.
When did the Cultural Revolution start and when did it end?
It was between 1966 to 1976. And during the Cultural Revolutions, we were not allowed to learn or listen to Beethoven, Mozart, so all classical cultures were abolished. And we were forced to sing the song praising the Mao Zedong. And we have to read the red books about Mao Zedong's teachings. And so it was a totally controlled environment.
Did it work? Did people get re-educated? Did people get reoriented? Did it work? Did it indoctrinate people to be pro-Mao? Did it work?
For some, yes, because for those who have not have alternatives, when it's almost like a Stockholm syndrome. Mm-hmm. Later on, some people thought that the progress in technologies attributed to communism, when it was not. It was developed elsewhere, but because they did not have the information, so they thought whatever propaganda. So think of like, if it's a bottle, if you fill with a color water, so then that's what you make of it. Just say a yellow color, then it's a yellow bottle. Filled with red is a red bottles. People do not know anything else. And I had the chance to compare the textbooks of Hong Kong, Taiwan, and mainland China for the same historic periods. I saw totally different narratives, but that was only when I left mainland China, when I was in Hong Kong.
How many people were in these labor camps? How many millions of people?
About 1,000 people.
How many?
1,000 people.
1,000 people?
Yes, including family members, yes.
Why were you allowed to go to Hong Kong?
Because my grandfather was in Hong Kong. He actually was a successful banker before communism. They robbed his bank, they took away his antique collections, paintings, and when he was settled in Hong Kong, when he got old, so we were eligible to apply to take care of him.
Your whole family came?
In 3 tranches. So that was part of how the communist rule trying to stop the family reunions, and they were forcing us to, separate us, trying to use us as a hostage. But eventually, we were able to escape.
For people who don't know, explain what Epoch Times is.
Okay, Epoch Times is a digital and print medias, and you can also see it in the apps. And we are the top 5 in terms of subscriptions, and we are independent. We provide uncensored, unfiltered, truthful reporting on a timely basis. We publish in 36 countries and regions, and in 23 languages. And so we've been founded 24 years ago from the very humble beginning in the basement. And in the beginning, we tried to provide information about the censorship in China, the persecutions in China. But then later on, in particular with 9/11, we saw that the Chinese Communist Party provided a very different narrative about America. So we feel like we need to educate the world and educate the people in and outside China. And we expanded into multiple languages. And so that's how Epoch Times, with 20 years reporting in English language.
Who owns Epoch Times?
We are non-profits. So basically, we are not funded by any governments, by any enterprises, not funded by any billionaires, and our revenue source is purely from subscriptions, primarily from subscription. So we answer to one stakeholder and one stakeholder only, our readers and our audience. And we supplement it with some advertisement and some donations because non-profits.
Is it having, Janice, an effect on China, on communist China, on the CCP?
Yes, we published the 9 commentaries on the Chinese Communist parties on November 19, 2004. In the past 20 years, we have inspired 440 million communist members, including the younger pioneer and also the youth league members, to withdraw from the Chinese Communist Party membership and affiliate organizations. We are catalysts to transform China from a communist state to a new communist state. And that's why the Chinese Communist Party put us, Epoch Times, as the #1 threat. And 2 years ago, Xi Jinping actually gave very explicit instructions to use social media, YouTubers, and legacy media like the New York Times and American judicial system to target the Epoch Times because we provide truthful information. Give you an example, in the 2003 SARS respiratory disease, Epoch Times was the first one to report about the pandemic. In fact, we reported 3 weeks before Beijing admitted about the pandemic. Imagine how many lives were saved. For the COVID-19, we started the reporting in December 2019. We have readers who changed the flight tickets because reading our reportings, because we have people on the ground, reporters on the ground, knowing how congested the hospital, how many people die, and so we are able to provide that first-hand information.
Janice, we have just a few seconds left. Really quick answer. Are you worried about your safety? Are you worried about your safety?
I am not worried about myself. For millions of people who sacrifice their life to strive for freedoms. So there is risk every day,
Janice,
but I think it's important.
Thanks for watching these clips from The Larry Elder Show. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment. More thought-provoking discussions are just a click away, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.